West breakdown.
And we're going with the champs.
The champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's talk about the Chiefs here. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it. I think the biggest time we're probably going to spend on anything is going to be the wide receivers, and it's going to be not a ton because it's kind of written out there for you for most of it. But Pat Mahomes, top 5 quarterback, top 6 quarterback, however you want to rank him, you're taking him. I think he's going to have a better season this year than he had last year too as well. So look for him to beat out some of the people that are projected to finish ahead of him. He is more of a scrambling and rushing quarterback than people also expect him to be because he does get good chunk yardage. Not as many rushing touchdowns, but that doesn't matter. You're not going to get Josh Allen out of him, but what you are going to get is a guy who can throw for 50 touchdowns in a season.
Yeah, man, we didn't see it last year, and this offense kind of changed roles last year where it was more of a run first. I think now they added more weapons.
They had to be, though. That's why.
But what I was going to say is Andy Reid is a fantastic coach to where like they can, if they need to adapt their entire play style, they will.
Yeah.
And they have the pieces on that team to be able to do that too.
And that's why they won championships 2 in a row.
Right. And so you go from 2 years ago to them being able to chuck the ball everywhere to last year they have no viable wide receivers. And when they did have viable wide receivers, they'd either drop the ball or have bad turnovers. Mahomes looked...
He had his lowest finish of his starting career in
Yes.
fantasy as quarterback 8 last year.
Yes.
Quarterback 7 when he played 14 weeks because he had that knee injury back in 2019. He had played 14 weeks there. He was QB 7. Otherwise, he's finished first or fourth. That's it. 2 first finishes, 2 fourth finishes. I think we see him propel himself back either to one of those 2 as well.
Yeah, he's going to be a top 5 quarterback this year. So, if you want to if you want to take your draft pick on him, you're going to have to spend a top 3 round pick on getting him. Josh Allen's going to be the first quarterback off the board. Seeing him mostly go towards the end of the second round and into the third round. Mahomes going shortly after him.
Well, here's the wild thing for Mahomes, and I'll say on this before we go to talk about Pacheco and the running game here. Last year, he had the most attempts rushing, period. And again, it factored into the fact that he couldn't really throw. He had nobody to throw the ball to.
Right.
And he had 75 rushes, 389 yards, not a ton of yards per carry, but he didn't have any rushing touchdowns whatsoever. Most of his rushes were middle of the field.
Right.
Big chunk first down.
They're scramble drills.
And it was great. So you have that floor for him.
Right.
You have like a 300-yard floor for him, which is more than what people are expecting when drafting him. But you have a ceiling of him throwing 40 to 50 touchdowns. He's been, except for that injured 2019 season, he's thrown 37 to 50, and then last year he only threw 27 touchdowns. 27 was his second lowest. It was his lowest for almost a full season. He missed 1 game.
I don't know why you need to throw stats at me.
Or
talk to anyone about stats on Patrick Mahomes. He's a good quarterback. He should be drafted in the top 3 rounds.
And he's not this year though. So you're getting him at value, in my opinion. I think he's dropping down to the 4th round in a lot of drafts.
Listen, fine.
So
if you want to go and get an early round quarterback, this is the number 2 on the list.
Yeah, Paul, our old league mate, asked me. He has another league where he said, "Do I keep Mahomes in the 4th or do I keep Mostert in the 9th?" And I said, If you like Mahomes and I think he's going to have a bounce back year and he's going to throw over 30-something touchdowns and close to 5,000 yards, you're getting value in the 4th round.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to running back, to where I don't need to tell someone to go and draft the best player in the league.
Yeah. So Pacheco here is going up. His draft capital is, I'm not calling it inflated. It's up there. He's probably the first group on a tier after these bigger bell cow receiving type of running backs.
Yeah.
But we forget that he can also catch the ball. He did a pretty good job last year doing it, especially in the playoffs. So I think he's a guy that I'm willing to draft at his ADP and not feel like it's a scary pick. I feel like he is one of the more solid picks in the NFL.
Yeah, I really like Pacheco. I think at that next tier value, if you go and miss on the running backs in the first 2 rounds and he's available for you as, you go and do wide receiver, yet Pacheco's a great option as your first running back.
Oh,
he's a great RB1.
Absolutely.
I'm not afraid. And they're not, even with the increase of wide receivers that they brought in this year, even if they go to more passing offense, it works better for him anyway.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't need to be a volume play. He's a hard downfield runner,
chunk runner,
and he's going to get goal line work. Like he's going to get the goal line work.
Yeah.
And there's no one else there that is. There's no other running back on this team.
They brought CEH back for a year like that. I don't think he's going to be anything of value there. They have a rugby player coming in. They have a undrafted free agent. They have pieces here. Like the fact that they're working in camp, they're working Kadarius Toney out of the running back spot just tells you all you need to know, in my opinion.
Right. I mean, they're looking for. They didn't bring back Jerick McKinnon.
Nope.
So they're looking for kind of a running back to do that. Now, Amani Bailey, they thought was going to be kind of stepping up into that role. It doesn't look like he's going to. The undrafted free agent.
Yeah, we'll
maybe
see
he
camp.
does. Maybe he gets a little bit more work there.
But we know how Andy Reid is with his running backs too as well. Like Andy Reid likes a solid starting running back and then has an option like a Sproles or as an option. But like imagine you look back at Westbrook under Andy Reid's regime too. Like that was a guy who could do it all. I don't think Pacheco is quite like a Westbrook that could do it all. There's going to be somebody else that takes snaps here, and I think it's going to be who can be the best pass protector too. Not just who can catch the ball, but who can get some good pass pro on that third down. And I find it hard to think about who can do that better than Pacheco right now. So I'm not putting my eggs in any other running back basket here, unless it's best ball.
Yeah, unless it's best ball that I'm going to. But if there's an injury to Pacheco, I don't even think that CEH takes a huge workload here.
No, I think it's going to be a mix. It's going to be a carousel.
I think they just switched to passing the ball
a lot more. Well, I think it'll be carousel or go get somebody.
Yeah. So
Latavius Murray.
Maybe.
Or Lenny.
Kareem Hunt.
Leonard Fournette.
There's
veterans out there like that I think they would get before one of these guys steps up into that role.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying best ball maybe, but it's not even a guarantee.
Right.
Moving on to receivers.
This is where it's really interesting because there's almost no one back from last year other than Justin Watson and Kadarius Toney.
No, they brought back Mecole.
They brought back Mecole,
yeah,
but they got Mecole
the
last
Super Bowl
year.
hero. They brought back.
So they bring in Xavier Worthy. They bring in Hollywood Brown, and
two great players that get open.
And Rashee Rice, he's probably the most. He emerged last year, but with the driving charges, we don't know what's going to happen yet. I don't think that there's going to be a lengthy suspension, so I don't think
he not even be one this year until the
right.
legal system gets things done. The NFL's done that before.
Right. So Rashee Rice, I would absolutely list as my number one overall over all those guys.
Yeah.
And then I would probably go Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy right after that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think
you can get Hollywood Brown where you're getting him and Worthy, although some of the ADP has Hollywood above Rashee because of the whole legal thing. But if it came out that he is not going to get suspended this year, they're going to wait for the legal system to go. Look at Alvin Kamara's situation.
Right.
Then I think Rashee just flies up the ADP board.
Me too. I mean, he should be. If you think that this. If you think what we think is what this offense is going to take a kind of a shift into passing the ball a little bit more than they did last year, and Rashee Rice emerged as a second half kind of guy, where I mean he ran off 4 or 5 weeks straight of touchdowns every week.
Yeah,
I think that we can make an argument for Rashee Rice being drafted as a top 15 wide receiver.
Yeah, if you got the volume with the quarterback, the touchdown potential, like I fully expect there to be 35 plus touchdowns from Patrick Mahomes this year. And if that's the case, you have to tell me that who on that offense besides Travis Kelce is going to have touchdown capital. And like everybody's like, oh, Travis Kelce should be tight end 1 again this year. Like Laporta had 8 touchdowns last year, but on a game-to-game basis and a points per game basis, a yardage per game basis, Kelce was above him. The touchdowns were down, and that's because 27 touchdowns were thrown by Pat Mahomes. That's Derek Carr touchdown numbers. I'm telling you right now, he's going to throw for 8 plus more touchdowns. Kelce's going to have 2 or 3 of those easily himself. So that's a value pick in itself there, and we'll talk about him in a second. But I want a receiver on this offense, and I'm getting the order that you're talking about. Because these guys are going to get touchdowns. These guys are going to get opportunities. They're going to throw. They're going to get a ton of yardage. And the way that Pat Mahomes finds the open man, it's not just for a quick hit in the guys to the ground. Like he gets people, throws them open in space with opportunity to do something with the ball.
Yeah, and that's why you like Xavier Worthy, and this is a big play kind of guy.
You want any of the three of them, really.
You do. You just want a piece of these guys. So if you miss out on Rashee Rice, go and get Hollywood. If you miss out on both those guys, go get Xavier Worthy. I'm okay drafting any one of these guys. So I don't want to make the argument here and make it seem like, oh, I think Hollywood Brown is light years above Xavier Worthy. If I can get Hollywood Brown, I'm going to get Hollywood Brown. If I miss out on Hollywood Brown, I'm okay getting Xavier Worthy. And I'm okay missing out on those two as long as I have Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
I'm
okay with missing out on all three of them if I have Travis Kelce too. I think they're all four guys are pass catchers for Pat Mahomes.
Yes. So this is where you're going to kind of, if I would make it a priority in the draft, is because none of them are going in the top 5 rounds.
Kelce, but
no,
wide receivers wise,
wide
yes.
receivers,
yeah,
they're not going in the top 5 rounds.
No.
So you can go and get other receivers and then draft these guys as your number 3.
With the potential of them being a number 2, number 1.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think you can do some really interesting things if you have those guys there. For me, I have Hollywood Brown in the 8th round, which I absolutely love.
Oh, and our keeper?
Our keeper. Yeah. So I love that value there because
where's he going normally? Where did he go in our mock draft here?
That's at value.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's close to the value.
I think it's 7th or 8th round.
So, let's see. He's going after. So Worthy and Rice went 7th round, right there, in our latest mock draft, which means Hollywood Brown probably went above them, and you could keep talking about Hollywood Brown. Oh yeah, he went 7th round. All three of them went 7th round.
So yeah, and so I'm getting him at value there, and I'm totally okay with that. But I do want to talk about Travis Kelce here, and I think Travis. I know you want to make the argument for him being the tight end 1, and I think he's going to end up still being a top 3 tight end, but I don't see him as being the tight end 1.
Okay, so I think he should be drafted as a tight end 1. Do I think he has a chance to finish outside the tight end 1 again? Yeah, he does. But here's my argument for him.
But his numbers now are not reflecting of. All right, so you're telling me you're going to pass up on Devontae Adams to get Travis Kelce?
Oh, I'm not going to.
Right. So,
but again, where he's going,
but we were making the argument 2 years ago and last year that Kelce should get
number 1.
He should be drafted in the first round,
but
because he's a number 1 wide receiver there.
But he's
not anymore.
Here's my argument, and he could still finish. He could still finish as number 1. He was the number 1 wide receiver there for them last year.
Yes, but on
targets in a game and per game basis. But what I'm saying for him, where he's falling to, it's end the 2nd, early 3rd round, mid 3rd round. You're not going to have the opportunity to decide between Devontae Adams and him.
Okay, Mike Evans or him.
Him.
Go ahead. Like that.
Because Mike Evans is going 3rd round, so I should already.
But Mike Evans is going beginning of the 3rd round.
Yeah,
so
but I'm saying if I already went running back, or went running back wide receiver, and I'm coming around the beginning of the 3rd round, and it's him there, and Laporta's already gone, I'm choosing between him, McBride, and Andrews, which honestly I like Andrews because of how far he's fallen there too. But I'm just saying where Kelce is in this situation on a per game basis, he was tight end 1 on a per game basis. And I still think he's going to be the most consistent guy there. You're not going to have those dips and valleys like you did last year. He's going to be more consistent than Laporta. He's going to be more consistent than these other guys. I
really like Kelce. Kelce helped me win a championship 2 years ago.
He helped me win one 3-4 years ago.
So I really like having Kelce as a premier tight end on my team. That being said, we've seen over the last 4 years a dip in snap percentage. And is he still getting those the quality snaps where he's being a receiving target? Yes. But year over year, he's getting a dip in snap percentage, especially down the run. So We saw.
He also missed 2 games last year, by the way.
That's okay.
I just thought about that.
There are 2 games. But the snap percentage has been dropping year in, year out. He's getting older. It makes sense. He's still extremely difficult to cover because he's a huge body.
Yeah.
But I just don't see. I would rather go and get Kittle. I would rather go and get Pitts. I would rather go and get Trey McBride a round later and go and get some of those 3rd-round receivers. The Mike Evans, the Michael Pittmans, those kind of guys I would rather have and get a tight end around after that because I'm not going to get a 1,400-yard receiver. Like, it's just a numbers thing. It's like, who's going to put up more numbers for you? Like, because in the first 3 picks, you really should be talking about, I'm going to get the most fantasy points per game from my first 3 picks.
From the player. Yeah. Well, the fact that you can get Mark Andrews, who could have similar finish to Kelsey,
and that's what
later on
is the
Kittle,
difference between Kittle and.
But by the way, Kelsey went into the 3rd round in our last mock draft. So if he's going in the 3rd round, I'm definitely taking him because that's 3rd, or you could possibly get him 4th.
Yeah, that's good value for him. What? Not in the 2nd, early 3rd.
No. I'd rather take Mark Andrews in the 4 or 5 turn.
Right.
Where he's going.
So I'd rather take Mark Andrews or Kittle, McBride. I'd rather take those guys later. Even Kincaid. I'd rather take those guys later because the difference between Kels and what they're going to finish in terms of fantasy points is a huge difference between what I'm going to get from the 2nd or 3rd round receivers and the 4th and 5th round receivers.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why I tend not to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, to me, I'm just looking up last year's finishes from 2023, and you had Sam Laporta as the number 1, obviously. Kittle is the number 2 with 6 touchdowns and 1,000 yards. Kelsey, number 3, 984 and 5. And then Hawkinson, 960 and 5. I mean, Hawkinson obviously missed some games too as well. Then really nobody besides Ingram went over 800 yards. So, and then you have the anomaly of Taysom Hill at 7. But okay, at the end of the day, that's the argument for tight end. I still like Kelsey. I think he's going to have a jump back up. I think he's going to cross the 1,000-yard threshold again this year, which he missed last year. Now he missed 2 games. And I think he's going to get back into the 8 to 10 touchdown range, which he was living in for 6 straight years.
I hope he does.
But that's it for the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's it for the
AFC West.
We got the West Coast done.
We will bring the NFC West to you guys next week, so be sure to tune in. And again, look out for us to do a mock draft with our subs here. We're going to put it out to the subscribers to get some nice mock drafting in, a 12-team mock draft during our Mockathon.
Hey, and if you guys made it this far, we're still on a race for 500. So if you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and help a brother out. Help some brothers out. Go ahead and subscribe. Leave a comment. Tell us how much you love us or hate us. I don't care. Our voices sound much better with the mic upgrade.
Yes.
So we can't complain about the echoing and
sound quality
and making your ears bleed. Maybe the sound of my voice makes your ears bleed anyway. And if it does, I apologize. I will work on that.
But yeah, we do want to do a giveaway for our 500th sub. We'll do once we hit the 500 mark, we will do a randomize and award one of our subs a nice piece of swag from the Standard Fantasy Football Podcast. So tune in and we'll make that announcement when it does happen. So thanks for showing up, and we'll see you next time.